Okay, are we back? Perfect. Apologies for the inconvenience. Again, this internet is great sometimes, but technology is overwhelming at points. So as I was saying, the main agenda would be reintroduce the CNP grant and give a little more information of what was going on already and has happened in the last few months. And more important is what's next and how could you or can you get engaged in the near future to continue with the efforts for the Choice Neighborhood Planning Grant in Indian Hill and Southside Terrace. So your team, this is the organizations that are working together with for the Choice Neighborhood Planning Grant. The Omaha City Planning Department and Omaha Housing Authority are the co-receivers of this grant. Now Canopy South is at this time a partner working with both organizations on the Choice Neighborhood Planning Grant. The team, as you can see in the pictures, we have Bill, Kelly, Mariana, and Leisha with the City of Omaha. In the Omaha Housing Department, Housing Authority is Johnny and Lauren, and in Canopy South, myself, Cesar, and Crystal. These are the people that you will be seeing often in meetings and sometimes in community engagement activities that will be happening around the community. So happy that you are familiar with those faces, happy to answer any questions or reach out at any point. When you feel like you need to reach out, those are the people that you should be talking to. Now, for the purpose of this meeting, as I was mentioning, we'll reintroduce and inform about the CNP, which is once again the grant that we received in September 2019 for $1.3 million. The more information we'll be talking about that in a little bit. We'll recap the process over the last year. That will be all the activities that have happened, not only in person through the COVID, but also some activities that we have had through Zoom and virtual meetings. We will inform you what's happening next and the opportunities for you to be able to join those engagement activities, all the future upcoming opportunities that will not only happen, hopefully at this time in person, but there are also some activities, once again, that will happen virtually. At this point, I would like to give the opportunity to Mariana with the City of Omaha.
Great, thank you, Cesar. So we're about to dive into a lot of information, a very big project, and we know that there's going to be a lot of questions, and we really want to encourage you to ask them. So I'm about to go through a couple of different ways that you can engage with us during this presentation today and in the future, and want to just give the disclaimer to save the date, because we will have 2 sessions specifically to ask and answer questions that you might have. So the Q&A sessions will be Monday, April 26th from 12 to 1 over the lunch hour again. And then Tuesday, April 27th from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. You'll be able to access it online afterwards as well. So the first way that you can ask questions and interact with us is going to be through Mentimeter. Put the information up at the top. So we're going to really encourage you. This would be our preferred way that you engage with us today. It helps us get some feedback and interact with you. To do that, we're going to ask that you go to open another web browser. So whether that's on a different device or on the current device you're using, open another window and go to menti.com. That's www.menti.com and use the code on the screen. That's 74184351. And if someone could put that in the Facebook chat, maybe the Zoom chat as well. The way that you can ask questions anytime throughout this presentation is through menti.com using that open Q&A button. Those questions are turned on right now, and when a question gets submitted, we'll see a number pop up down here. So if you have any questions about how to get into Menti, please throw it in the chat or in Facebook, and we can address those, or we can help you through it. Thank you for putting that in the chat. You're also, if you're watching this on Facebook Live, please feel free to submit any questions or comments into the Facebook Live chat using the commenting function at the bottom of your screen. We will do our best to try and address these questions again during this presentation, but they will all get collected and talked about in the next presentations. And then if you're watching with us through Zoom, feel free to type any questions directly in the Zoom chat function. So that little, there's a little like speech bubble down at the bottom that has some numbers that pop up when questions get brought up. Go ahead and feel free to use it. Those are ways to interact today, right now during this session. If after this presentation, or if you're watching a recording, please join us, ask your questions at online. So one of the ways that we can do that is with this new website we have called Omaha. It's omaha.mindmixer.com. That is a program. It's kind of like a virtual town hall where you can ask any questions through that using the My Idea Is tab, but you can submit any questions through that. And then you can also use good old-fashioned telephone or email by reaching out to Canopy South, who is our community connection, and their information is on the screen. 402-916-9293 is their phone number, or info@canopysouth.org. Okay, so for those of us who are using menti.com, we just want to do a quick warm-up just to get everyone familiar with this program. So again, go to open another web browser on your device or a different device, menti.com, and use the code 74184351. And if you're in the room, if you're in our little chat room, please tap one of those icons, the heart, the thumbs up, or the question mark. That'll let us know that you're here and you're present. Or you, again, feel free to use the open QA button to ask a question. So I know we have about 12 folks in the Zoom right now. I know we have a lot of people probably watching on Facebook Live that might not be able to access menti.com, but this will be open until April, I think 26th, or May 3rd, that you can retroactively go back, use the Menti code and participate through there. So yeah, that will be getting us to use these, hopefully we'll see in the interactive portion of this presentation. And we'll do a quick icebreaker. That'll be really helpful for us. How did you hear about this meeting? So on your second device or in your second window, there should be a slide that asks you how you heard about this meeting. If you could let us know, you can select multiple options. And this will really help us understand the best way to communicate with you. So we'll give it some time to populate. And then again, feel free to throw it in the Zoom chat or in that the Facebook comments. And this is very helpful for the city and for Canopy South to know the best way to connect with you, get information to you. If you live in the study area, you should have received a mailing or a newsletter with a little packet of information from the city. And that's the mailing and newsletter. Okay, so we'll leave this up. And we'll go to the next slide.
Thanks, Marina. So when we talk about choice neighborhoods, it can be a bit confusing within the community because we actually are very fortunate to have 2 choice neighborhoods grants within the city. So the one we are going to talk about today is the Choice Neighborhoods Planning and Action Grant. So this is where we focus on the Southside Terrace Indian Hill neighborhood. It's a 3.5-year grant for $1.3 million. Coming out of this grant, we will have a transformation plan and we will implement action activities. This is different than our Choice Neighborhoods Implementation Grant, which is up north. So that's North 30th Street and Spencer Homes. That is a 5-year grant for $25 million. The results coming out of that grant are demolition of Spencer Homes, more than 400 mixed income housing units, new ones, Spencer Homes residents reaching their identified goals, and $3.5 million of neighborhood improvements. So let's move on to the next slide, please. A little bit more on our Choice Neighborhoods Planning and Action Grant. Again, that is what we're focusing on here today. You can see in the map what area this encompasses. And again, it's a $1.3 million grant that covers 3.5 years. The purpose of this grant is to revitalize Southside Terrace apartments, transform the surrounding neighborhood, and provide opportunities for residents. The results, again, are a transformation plan and action activities. With the transformation plan, that is a comprehensive neighborhood revitalization strategy, and it will become the guiding document for the revitalization of Southside Terrace Garden Apartments and the broader neighborhood. So what does that mean? Eventually, Southside Terrace Garden Apartments will be demolished. We don't know when, but it will be years from now, and we do not know what will replace it at this point. And that is why we are creating this transformation plan. Choice Neighborhoods focuses on 3 main goals around housing, people, and neighborhoods. And you'll see that reflected in this presentation as well. Engagement has started and small improvements will begin very soon. So we're trying to gauge some input on how the neighborhood and residents would like this money spent. And again, we'll touch on this as well, but we are starting implementation now. We're not waiting until the transformation plan is complete to start making changes that are needed now. The next slide. Action activities. So while we're starting to implement some more small changes now, currently, action activities are bigger physical improvements that meet the neighborhood's needs and enhance the neighborhood. So we have, of that 1.3 million, we have $950,000 of grant funds, and we already have secured $600,000 in matching funds. So we have right now over 1.5 million to start making improvements after the transformation plan is complete. So we are identifying what that action activity or action activities are right now through this planning process, and then they will be implemented when the plan is complete. At this time, it's not replacement housing, so it's not going to be anything to move people or anything like that at this point. The grant funding is that's not eligible expense for that, but we will be making more like neighborhood improvements with those action activities monies. But it needs to be completed in 2023, so we will start seeing those like impact very soon on those. The next slide. Oh, so we are very fortunate again to have an implementation grant just north on North 30th Street, and we have a video here to show you what that transformation is looking like right now.
One moment to share my sound.
Hi, this is Lauren Leitner, the Intensive Services Manager with Omaha Housing Authority. I am on site in the North 30th neighborhood to show you the wonderful developments that are taking place as part of the Choice Neighborhoods Implementation Grant. I wanted to show you around and see what is possible when the neighborhood receives funds to do a revitalization. This is connected to the redevelopment that is going to happen at Spencer Homes and what could possibly be the future of Southside Terrace as well. Right here next to the venue in the greenhouse that you'll see tucked away back there is the dining room in the Highlander Accelerator building. The Accelerator houses restaurants like Beth's Burger and Big Mama's Chicken. It also has 75 North offices and MCC and Creighton University on site. And you'll see here that the Accelerator building is on the corner of 30th and Patrick Street. Over here gives you a view of the site that is going to be the next phase of development with mixed income living. It's connected to phase 1 of the Highlander neighborhood. You'll see here that there's nice apartments on both sides of 30th Street, a new bus stop, circling back around to the dining room. Just wanted to show you the cool facade of these apartments and the nice personal balconies that they have. This is still on 30th Street. Same thing on the other side as well. You can see nice balcony space. Here is Nobility Point Apartments. This is mixed income housing that's been recently completed by our developer Brinshaw in partnership with OHA and 75 North. This is mixed income housing for seniors age 62 and up. Mixed income means that there's residents here that are eligible for public housing through OHA, tax credit housing, and then fair market rate housing. So it's nice to have a mix of residents in one building. We've recently had 5 Spencer Homes residents move into Nobility Point. I'm going to show you a nice view of the townhomes, panning over here to the community space and this awesome playground, which connects to a pool, and panning back around to some more apartments, and then over back to Nobility Point. Here's a better view of the playground overlooking the community pool, and then down this way, that's 30th Street again, and you'll see here this wonderful view is a future site, like I said, of phase 2 of the development here. This is where more apartment buildings are going to be built and have spots dedicated for Spencer residents that are going to be relocated as part of the rebuild of the neighborhood. And then on site at the current Spencer Homes is going to be a community very similar to this, with our goal to develop this whole North 30th corridor to be one connected community. And that's what's possible with the Choice Neighborhoods Implementation Grant.
Thank you for giving us that tour, Lauren. That is all of the really exciting stuff that's already happened, and there's so much more planned. So these images show a couple of renderings of the next phases of housing. So here are the exterior shots, and then the living room kitchen you see, that is from Nobility Point, which Lauren showed, which, as she had mentioned, 5 Spencer households have already moved in there. So this is just an interior shot of an actual unit in Nobility Point. So this is again showing what is to come for the Spencer households. It's very exciting. I'm gonna go to the next slide. So in addition to the housing, looking at 3.75 million of grant money is going to be addressing economic self-sufficiency, health, early learning, and education. And these are based on the wants and needs of the people who are currently living at Spencer Homes. Next slide. Another 3.75 million of those grant funds are making neighborhood improvements. So these neighborhood improvements, the ideas came from the residents, the people who are currently living there, and the wants and needs that they have for their neighborhood. And what's happening in the North 30th Street area is streetscape improvements, a new park space, new commercial development will be supported, and a home beautification program or facade improvement program for people who are currently living in the neighborhood and own their homes in that neighborhood, as well as new home ownership opportunities that are outside even of the Choice Grant. There's just so much going on and so much opportunity. Go to the next slide. This is so important. Hopefully this is inspiring, is to show what can happen when we start implementing these Choice Grants. This is so important for you to get involved now, because it really is the community input that is driving the plan, focusing on these 3 areas of neighborhoods, people, and housing that goes into the transformation plan that then we will start implementing. So it's really exciting. This is when we need to get your input, when you want to get involved right now, because getting involved now and getting the input in now is what will go in the plan, and the plan is what will be implemented. The next slide. So I'm going to turn it over to Crystal to talk about how people are getting the engagement in right now.
Yeah, so like Kelly mentioned, the transformation plan is really meant to respond based on the needs of the community and all the recommendations that you'll provide us now. So some of you may remember back in, it was October of 2019 is when we had our first kickoff event, which we called Southside Celebration. That was in Upland Park. Some of you may remember our community meetings back in February of 2020. We held one at the Simple Foundation, which is a former YMCA, right off 30th and Q. And we also held another meeting at Indian Hill Elementary School. That was right before the onset of the pandemic. And that was essentially the last time we were able to meet as a large group. The CNP steering committee had to kind of reimagine and recalibrate our ways and approaches, how we get your feedback. So we had to get a little creative, but our new approach has been smaller in-person community engagement activities. And we've really implemented everything from an interactive chalkboard cube that's 8 feet by 8 feet at Miguel Keith Park to walks and bike rides around the neighborhood, in partnership with some really great local organizations like the Big Garden, Latino Center of the Midlands, and Completely Kids. We facilitated a couple of youth engagement activities in the neighborhood. We've also tried taking a more informal approach to our community engagement as well to make sure that we're trying a variety of tactics. We provided hot meals at a food truck event and something that we call community conversations, where the steering committee puts our green t-shirts on and we walk around the neighborhood, stand outside grocery stores, hang out outside the gym, and just talk to residents walking around to kind of just talk to them and see where they're at and see what kind of neighborhood improvements they'd like to see in the neighborhood. Our last event was the Valentine's Day pop-up event. We hosted that outside of our satellite office, which is at Southside Terrace, right off 30th Street. Our only complaint is that it was a little cold, but other than that, we had over 100 youth swing by to do a voting exercise on doing well planning activities, and every participant got a Valentine's Day goodie bag. Those are some of the in-person community engagement activities that we collectively have been working at. Also behind the scenes, the City of Omaha and Omaha Housing Authority have worked really hard to get really good data and recommendations from both neighborhood residents and residents of Southside Terrace through a neighborhood survey as well as a comprehensive needs assessment. The next slide, I'm going to hand it over to Lauren, where she's going to talk about some of the data and findings from the needs assessment.
Thanks, Crystal. Lauren Leitner with Omaha Housing Authority. So if you are a Southside Terrace resident, you may have remembered at the end of last year, we asked you to do a very long and exhaustive survey. And for those of you that took the time to do that, we really appreciate your time and your feedback. So I just wanted to run through some information of what we heard through that really comprehensive tool that we utilized. So one thing I do want to mention before going into this data is that we do recognize that some of the information was underreported as far as the whole population of people that live at Southside Terrace. So that's why we're working on some continued engagement strategies to get a better picture of everybody that lives there. But based off of the information that we heard back from the needs assessment, here is what we've kind of gathered as far as residents that live at Southside Terrace. So what we saw was the average household is about 3 to 4 residents. We do know that there are about 35 households that have at least 7 household members or more. So like I said, we're working on gathering some more data related to that. But we heard that 70% are headed by single mothers, with a variety of demographics related to African Americans, whites, and African Black, people that identify as African or Black. We also heard that some residents reported that the neighborhood was good or excellent to live in, but we also heard that about 47% said it was only a fair place to live. And so that's the reason why we were trying to do the transformation. We want people to feel like that their neighborhood is a great place to live and they feel safe and comfortable raising their children and families there. Building on that, we heard that more residents feel safer during the day at 43% than after dark at just 24%. We also heard from residents that cameras and more police presence would make them feel safer. So those are the efforts that we're continuing to work on now, as well as definitely the information that we'll be using to put together a transformation plan of the neighborhood. We also heard that about 63% of households have reliable internet and Wi-Fi. And while we know through COVID this last year, it's really shined a light on how important it is to be connected virtually to the world. So there are efforts ongoing right now, as well as information that we will include in the transformation plan to be responsive to that. And then the other piece that I wanted to mention was we asked parents about their kiddos. So we asked if they're participating in any enrichment activities. And we did hear a really good variety of activities that youth engage in the community. But we also heard that 61% of children don't participate in any enrichment activities. So that's an area of focus that we're going to have when we're talking about family systems and making sure that residents are aware of the existing programming in the community, and also getting a better understanding of what you would like to see as far as other options for kiddos to become engaged and connected to the community. Like I said, that's just a piece of information that we heard back from a really comprehensive survey. If anybody's interested in connecting with me to hear more, I would be happy to go through this data with you. But for now, I'm going to turn it back over to Kelly to talk about some neighborhood results that we heard.
Thanks, Lauren. So similarly, we did a neighborhood survey in the summer into the fall this past year. We found that 73% of households in the neighborhood say they like living in the community. So this is compared to what we found in the needs assessment of Southside Terrace residents, that only 27% felt that way. 21% of households are multi-generational, and that's compared to only 3% across Douglas County. So that's definitely a unique asset to this neighborhood. We asked what the priorities for change were, and they were 94% that want trash and debris along the streets cleaned up, 89% wanted to make it easier to walk in the neighborhood, and another 89% want residential lawns cleaned up. So this gave us a good starting point for identifying the wants and needs in the community and the different priorities. And then we can survey and use this as a starting point to make sure that, you know, households like living. We have 73% now who like living in the community. That's great. And we're looking forward to see that number just increasing from here. So judging, we'd like to get a good idea of the participants, if you guys have participated in these events. So if you can go to menti.com again, and the code is at the top of the screen. So it's menti.com using the code 74184351. If you could tell us if you participated in any of these events. So Crystal went through quite a few events that have gone on, the needs assessment that Lauren had talked about, or the neighborhood survey. So if you could let us know if you have participated or not, just so we can understand, get a better understanding of how broad our reach is, because obviously we want as many people participating as possible. So we'll give you a few more minutes or seconds, because I know the folks on Facebook, there is a little bit of a time delay in it getting onto Facebook. So give it a couple more seconds. You see that about 2/3 who are voting right now have participated, another third has not. If you are watching this recording as a recording after the fact, so if this link is emailed to you after the meeting, still go to menti.com and vote, as Mariana said, through May 3rd. So this voting is live up till May 3rd. So let us know as you're watching this on your own time, which we definitely appreciate you doing. We think it's really important. So go ahead and keep voting though. All right, so we'll go to the next slide. So regarding the data that was just discussed, do you feel the same way? So there was quite a few data points that Lauren went over. I went over a few about the neighborhood. Do you agree with what we found? So let us know, yes, no, or if you're not sure, maybe you agree with some things and not others. Go ahead and again, vote on Menti. All right, great to know. There's some yeses and there's some not sure's. Oh, there's a no as well. So let's see. Okay, we want to go to the next question then. So if you disagree, so we did see that there's one person who disagreed and a couple that were not sure. If you disagree with this, what did you disagree with? Just so we have a better understanding moving forward, what didn't track with you. So this is an open-ended question. You can type it into Menti and it'll pop up for the rest of us to see. And all of this is anonymous. That's kind of a beauty of using this, is we don't know who's saying what. So go forward and be very honest with us so we can move forward with that information. So give it a couple more seconds and we'll move on to the next slide. All right. So go ahead and again, if you're viewing this after the fact, let us know what you disagree with and we can learn from that and we can move on and dig in a little bit deeper. That's the beauty of this. So, all right, so what's next? So in 2021, we need to complete the transformation plan. To do so, we need to solidify the vision for the community. We need to set goals. We need to identify strategies to achieve those goals. We need to write the plan, and then we submit it to HUD. Our next step, then we move to the action activities, is we need to identify what the action activity or action activities are, and we'll be doing that through this planning process with your feedback, and then implement that by March of 2023. So to set us up on getting your feedback in terms of vision and goal setting, because that's where we are right now, we'll go to the next slide. We have another question for you. In 5 to 10 years from now, what 3 words do you want to describe the area? So you got 3 blanks on Menti, and fill those in with your 3 words and you'll see them populate the screen on a pretty cool way. So I'll give it a couple seconds here and enter your 3 words. Okay, so we're seeing some come in, and the bigger the word, the more times it was mentioned. So you can see safe is, the font is the largest, so it's the biggest word. So it was mentioned by multiple people. So safe, clean, vibrant, kid-friendly, and fun. So these are all great words to describe a neighborhood. I'm gonna move to the next slide. So this was the vision statement drafted by stakeholders in the community. So Southside Terrace Indian Hill is a safe and clean neighborhood, rich in culture and opportunity, with meaningful collaboration and connections. Residents are the foundation of the vibrant and sustainable community now and for future generations. So with this on Menti, you can give us some love with a heart. If you agree with it, give us a thumbs up. And if you don't like this or it misses the mark for you a little bit, give us a thumbs down. So you can enter that and you can see the bottom of the screen populating, and when we get loves, it shows us a heart, and so that's always fun. So we'll give a couple more seconds for people to respond to this vision statement. Okay. And then we got a thumbs up, another heart. All right, so I'm seeing we're getting a Facebook response to our 3 words, safe, clean, and involved. All right, so definitely safe and clean. Those were our biggest words on our previous slide, and right on the top line here we have safe and clean, so that's good. All right, so we are going to move on to the next statement or question about this vision statement. What do you like about the vision statement? And if you need your memory refreshed, because that's a lot of words, it's a long statement, it's there on the left side of the screen. So go ahead and enter what you like about the vision statement. And again, if you're viewing this as a recording, you can still go ahead and enter what you like about it until May 3rd. Matches the vision I have in my head. Fantastic. Okay, so we'll move on to our next question. On the other side of it, what is missing from the vision statement? So what do you want to see in the community? What's your larger vision for the community that is not encompassed, is not included somehow in the vision statement that has been drafted. So again, you can go ahead and type in what your response is on Menti. And again, the code's at the top of your screen, so you can do that. All right, so we're not seeing any responses here, so hopefully that means people are a fan. Mixed income, yes. Yes, definitely, and mixed income is certainly one of those major goals that we have in terms of housing, certainly. Okay, so we will go to the next slide. Okay. So a couple upcoming opportunities to engage online. We are obviously looking forward in this transformation plan, but we also think it's really important to recognize the past and those lived experiences at Southside Terrace. To get to that, we have partnered with the National Public Housing Museum to record oral history. So the National Public Housing Museum will interview and talk with current or former residents of Southside Terrace about their experience living there. They will record that and archive that at the National Public Housing Museum. We are really excited about this opportunity. We think it's really cool. They've done an excellent job recording, and we've seen examples they've done in other communities. We had a virtual open house last week to talk about what oral history is and what those interviews will look like. And the folks, in fact, who would be conducting those were on that call as well. So you can watch the recording of that presentations at www.sochoice.org. So we're really excited about that opportunity. As Mariana mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, we have specific sessions like this solely dedicated to answering your questions. So they are Monday, April 26th and Tuesday, April 27th. Those will be recorded, and we will be documenting what those questions and answers are as well, so we can put that out in writing as well. We'll have additional public meetings as the project progresses. We'll see, depending on how COVID and what the conditions are in the community, whether or not that will be a virtual meeting like this, or if we'll do something live in person. We'll kind of test the water when you get there. I feel like that's how a lot of this past year has been, is just kind of assessing and shifting where necessary. Of Southside Terrace about their experience living there. They will record that and archive that at the National Public Housing Museum. Okay, so we'll go to the next slide then. All right, so a couple other opportunities to engage online. So omaha.mindmixer.com, which Mariana had mentioned earlier, we are posting questions there every couple of weeks to get your feedback on as well. So go to omaha.mindmixer.com. You do need to log in with the login and give, I believe, your date of birth just to make sure you're over 18. And then you can look at everything that's going on at sochoice.org. It's a website solely dedicated to our CNP effort. And you can see what's going on, what has happened, and get all your updates and information just by going to that one website. So, and I will turn it over to Crystal.
Thanks, Kelly. Like I mentioned, our most recent event was our Valentine's Day pop-up. You can see a little picture here. That is our satellite office located just south of 30th and U Street on site at Southside Terrace. Our next event is going to be Thursday, April 29th. We are going to be talking about neighborhood improvements and some of the physical aspects of what we would like to see improved. Feel free to swing by but anytime between 4 and 6. Come say hi, tell us what you want to see, and we will be giving out little treats as well. Like Kelly and Lauren both mentioned, litter and debris and trash are a major concern for residents of the neighborhood. So we are working with the Highland South Indian Hill Neighborhood Association to put on an annual spring cleanup. So that will be Saturday, May 29th, but anytime between 9 and 2 p.m. and that will be at Upland Park. Feel free to swing by and bring all of the larger items that are harder for you to get rid of. We will have a lot of help and dumpsters on site to help facilitate getting some of those larger items out of the neighborhood. Additional in-person community engagement. We are just waiting on this weather to cooperate with us, but we will continue our community conversations. Look out for the gals in the green t-shirts. We'll be doing block talks, bike rides, and we'll continue our pop-up events throughout the neighborhood. So stay tuned on Facebook and So Choice website. Hope to see you around. And
Sorry.
I'll hand it over to Lauren.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
And then, as Crystal mentioned, the satellite office. So this is just south of the property management office in one of our converted apartments on site at Southside Terrace. So right now we have open hours from 12:30 to 2:30 on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 4 to 6. These will continue to be available and adjust as schedules permit and as our kind of plans and shift. We did just put up a big sign, so if you've noticed that out front, that's where we're going to post when we're open. So you'll see that sign that's up on this presentation here next to the picture. That's what you'll see hanging out. So if you see that up, that means we're there. Please just come knock on the door and chat with us if you have a few minutes. One thing that we're also going to be adding beginning next Thursday at 4 p.m. just for about an hour, we're going to have what's called a backyard briefing. So that's just a more informal time to be able to sit down with residents of the neighborhood to answer questions that you might have about what's been going on, what the future plans are. And then also at some engagement events, we'll have some pointed conversations with you related to things like services in the neighborhood, housing choices in the future, and then neighborhood improvements as well. So those are going to be held monthly on the third Thursday of the month at 4 p.m. right at the satellite office at Southside Terrace. And then Crystal and I are working right now on small groups. So we have one already in progress. We've had 3 meetings so far, and these are more smaller focused conversations with residents to help inform the transformation plan of the neighborhood. So we talk about a lot of the things that we've gone over in this meeting, and then it just gives us a better opportunity to have a more in-depth conversation and ask feedback questions rather than just getting a survey completed or something like that. So we're looking forward to rolling those out as we have more availability to do so. Like I mentioned before when I was talking about the needs assessments, we also want to utilize the small groups to have a focused outreach to residents that maybe had a language barrier in completing the needs assessment. So we will be doing some targeted engagement for those as well. That's all we have for in-person stuff. I'm going to pass back over to Cesar with Canopy South, or sorry, Kelly with the city to talk about Choice Couch.
Yes, we had talked about how we're not waiting until the transformation plan is over to start making improvements. And we actually have $50,000 right now to spend by this fall. The only thing that's holding us back from doing anything right now is we want to get more of your input in terms of what you as residents want to see implemented in the neighborhood. So every single household was mailed Choice Cash. And on there, you can mark up to 3 of these different options you would like to see implemented right now. So there's community garden, improved bus stops, park improvements, public art, signage, neighborhood branding, and reduced trash. And this is based on, these options are really pulled from what we saw as priorities from the neighborhood survey and the needs assessment. So we've extended the deadline for when this is due until April 26th. And you can drop them off at the satellite office, which the address is right there. You can just slip it in the mail slot. We have a bigger mail slot with a big box to catch those, so you can submit those there. You can contact Canopy South, you can call, you can email, and actually it's on omahaminemixer.com as well. So we're excited to get stuff underway. We've got funding too, but we need to understand more of how you as residents want that that money spent in the neighborhood. So we're excited to get started on this and start making some of what you have indicated as wanted and needed improvements in the neighborhood. So next slide, I believe, is Cesar to wrap it up.
Thank you, Kelly. Yes, so let's take a look at the next opportunities to engage. And once again, this is a very important aspect of for us to be successful, which is the engagement of all of you as residents or just as stakeholders in the community. So the first thing that's going to happen here next Monday is a question and answer session. That will be Monday 26th, April 26th from noon to 1 p.m. And in order to give opportunities for those that will not have a chance to participate on Monday, we'll do it again on Tuesday, April 27th from 6 to 7 p.m. More information will be coming. There's a link and you'll be able to join us for that. The second thing is a bunch of other things that we can do, that you can do and help us once again get all the information that we require and that we want to take into consideration to complete the transformation plan. Submit your choice cash, that's as Kelly was mentioning, and she explained briefly. Give us feedback online at www.omaha.mindmixer.com. Participate in the small groups. For that you can contact Lauren at the email as is shown right there on the website, or call at 402-444-6900 extension 2268. Talk to us during the office hours. This is the office that is located in Southside Terrace. Tell your oral history. For that you can contact Leisha at leisha.goodwin@cityofomaha.org, or attend backyard briefing. That is, as Lauren was mentioning, that will be starting here on the 22nd and going every third Tuesday at 4 p.m. And more exciting is that if you want to learn about what's happening and also leave feedback or any questions, visit our sochoice.org website. That is the website that is only related to the CNP. So you will find anything that is happening right now, the schedule, the future activities, and the contact information for any of us. And thank you. Once again, we're gonna leave a few minutes here for questions in case there's some questions on the website. But more important, join us for questions and answers this coming Monday, April 26th, or Tuesday, April 27th from 6 to 7 p.m. With that, I just want to make sure that we leave a few minutes in case we have some other questions or anyone that would like to check what's on Facebook.
No questions on Facebook right now.
I imagine everybody's saving the questions for Monday, April 26th. So go ahead. Just remember, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, or anyone that has any interest in this community or would like to be of support. Please let them know that we'll be happy for them to join us those days. Monday, April 26th from noon to 1 p.m. and Tuesday, April 27th from 6 to 7 p.m. With that, I think that's it. Thank you very much for all that join us. Remember that we are always available and you always can reach out if you have any questions. Do not have to wait until those days, although we appreciate if you come to those days on the 26th and 27th. I keep saying it because I want people to come. So thank you for your time today, and we'll be seeing you soon. Thank you for the team for the presentation as well.
Thanks, everyone.